Most seniors worry about two things when it comes to blood sugar: their kidneys and their heart. And those concerns are completely valid. We have talked about both in this series. But there is a third organ that high blood sugar is quietly attacking right now, every single day, in ways that most people don't discover until the damage is severe: your brain. Researchers have discovered something so significant that they've given it a name that should stop every person over 60 in their tracks. They're calling it type 3 diabetes. And in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what it means, why it matters enormously after 60, and most importantly, what you can do today to protect your memory, your sharpness, and your independence for years to come. My name is Dr. Shan Clark, and I want to ask you something. When was the last time your doctor sat down with you and explained what your blood sugar is actually doing to your brain? Not your kidneys, not your feet, not your eyes, your brain. If the answer is never, you are not alone. The vast majority of seniors I speak with have never had that conversation. And yet, the science connecting blood sugar to brain health is one of the most significant medical discoveries of the last 2 decades. Here are the numbers you need to hear. People with poorly controlled blood sugar have nearly twice the chance of developing dementia after the age of 60, compared to people with healthy blood sugar levels. Twice the chance. And it is not only people with a diabetes diagnosis who are at risk. Research published in the New England Journal of Medicine followed more than 2,000 people over the age of 65 for 7 years. What they found was extraordinary. Even people with high normal blood sugar people who had never been diagnosed with diabetes or pre-diabetes showed measurable increases in dementia risk as their glucose levels crept higher. That means this is not just a diabetic problem. This is a problem for anyone over 60 whose blood sugar is trending in the wrong direction, whether they know it or not. And here is the statistic that I find most alarming of all. 1 in 3 American adults has prediabetes, and of those, the vast majority have absolutely no idea. No symptoms, no diagnosis, no warning, just blood sugar quietly climbing and quietly doing damage to the most important organ in their body. Let me explain the mechanism, because once you understand what is physically happening inside your brain when blood sugar is elevated, you will never look at a sugary meal the same way again. Your brain is extraordinary. It makes up only 2% of your body weight, but it consumes 20% of all the energy your body produces. That energy comes almost entirely from glucose from blood sugar, and your brain has its own system of insulin receptors that allow it to use that glucose efficiently. When that system works properly, your brain cells get the fuel they need to think, remember, learn, and function. But here is what happens when blood sugar stays elevated over time. First, inflammation. Chronically high blood sugar triggers systemic inflammation throughout the body, and inflammation in the brain is particularly destructive. It damages neurons, the brain cells responsible for memory and thinking. It disrupts the connections between those neurons, and it creates an environment in the brain that is inhospitable to healthy cognitive function. Second, blood vessel damage. Your brain is fed by an intricate network of tiny blood vessels. High blood sugar damages those vessels in exactly the same way it damages the blood vessels in your kidneys and eyes. When those brain blood vessels are damaged, blood flow is reduced. Oxygen delivery to brain tissue drops. And areas of the brain that depend on that oxygen, including the hippocampus, which is your brain's memory center, begin to shrink. This is called vascular dementia. And it is the second most common form of dementia after Alzheimer's disease. It is directly linked to blood vessel damage from high blood sugar and high blood pressure. Third, amyloid plaques. This is perhaps the most striking connection of all. High blood sugar increases production of toxic protein fragments called beta amyloid in the brain. Beta amyloid clumps together and forms plaques between brain cells, literally blocking the communication pathways between neurons. And those beta amyloid plaques are the defining hallmark of Alzheimer's disease. Researchers at the National Institutes of Health have found that older adults with long-standing type 2 diabetes carry 50 to 100% higher odds of developing Alzheimer's than their metabolically healthy peers. 50 to 100% higher odds. Fourth, insulin resistance in the brain itself. This is what led researchers to coin the term type 3 diabetes. In people with type 2 diabetes, the cells of the body become resistant to insulin. They stop responding to it properly. Researchers have now discovered that the same process can happen in the brain. Brain cells become insulin resistant. They lose their ability to use glucose for energy efficiently. And when brain cells cannot get the fuel they need, they begin to deteriorate. The connections weaken. Memory becomes unreliable. Processing speed slows. The brain begins to age faster than it should. And here's what makes this especially difficult for seniors. The symptoms of early cognitive decline are easy to rationalize. You forget where you put your keys. You lose track of a conversation. You walk into a room and can't remember why. And you tell yourself, I'm just getting older. This is normal. But it may not be normal. It may be your blood sugar. Let me give you specific signs to watch for. Because early recognition catching this while the damage is still reversible is everything. Sign number 1, brain fog that appears after meals. If you regularly feel mentally sluggish, slow, or foggy 30 to 60 minutes after eating, particularly after high carbohydrate or high sugar meals, that post-meal cognitive dip is a direct reflection of blood sugar spiking and then crashing. A healthy brain after a healthy meal feels energized and clear. A brain reacting to a blood sugar spike often feels heavy, foggy, and tired. If this is your consistent experience after eating, pay close attention to what you are eating and discuss it with your doctor. Sign number 2. Memory that seems to be worsening faster than expected. There is a difference between the normal, gradual memory changes that come with healthy aging. Occasionally forgetting a name, taking a moment longer to recall something, and the more rapid, more disruptive memory loss that suggests something is wrong at a biological level. If your memory has declined noticeably in the last 6 to 12 months, if people around you have commented on it, if you find yourself losing track of conversations, repeating yourself frequently, or becoming confused in familiar situations, this deserves medical evaluation that includes a blood sugar assessment. Sign number 3, mood changes, irritability, and anxiety that are new or worsening. Blood sugar dysregulation directly affects mood. The brain's emotional regulation centers are sensitive to glucose fluctuations. Rapid swings in blood sugar, the spikes and crashes of a high glycemic diet produce corresponding swings in mood, energy, and emotional stability. If you have become more irritable, more anxious, more emotionally reactive than you used to be, and if this has developed alongside other cognitive changes, consider the blood sugar connection. Sign number 4, persistent fatigue despite adequate sleep. We discussed fatigue as a cardiac warning sign in our last video, but blood sugar dysregulation is another major cause of unexplained persistent fatigue in seniors. When your cells, including your brain cells, cannot use glucose efficiently due to insulin resistance, you feel tired even when you've slept. Your body is running on fuel it cannot access properly. If fatigue and cognitive sluggishness appear together, especially after meals, blood sugar is a very likely contributor. Now, here is what I want to spend the final part of this video on. Because everything I've described so far is concerning, but none of it is a life sentence. The research is clear on something deeply encouraging. The same habits that protect your blood sugar protect your brain. And many of these habits, started even in your 60s and 70s, have been shown in clinical research to slow cognitive decline, improve memory performance, and reduce the progression of insulin resistance in the brain. Let me give you 6 specific actionable strategies. Strategy number 1, know your fasting blood sugar and your HbA1c. This is the foundation of everything else. Your fasting blood glucose should ideally be below 100 milligrams per deciliter. Between 100 and 125 is considered pre-diabetic range. Above 125 on 2 separate occasions indicates diabetes. Your HbA1c, which reflects your average blood sugar over the previous 3 months, should be below 5.7% for a normal result. 5.7 to 6.4% indicates prediabetes. 6.5% or higher indicates diabetes. If you do not know your numbers, call your doctor's office tomorrow morning and request these tests. If you know your numbers are elevated, do not wait for your next scheduled appointment. Take action now, because every month of elevated blood sugar is a month of continued damage to your brain. Strategy number 2, cut the foods that spike your blood sugar fastest. This does not mean eliminating all carbohydrates. It means being strategic about which carbohydrates you eat and how you eat them. The foods that cause the most rapid, most dramatic blood sugar spikes are refined carbohydrates and added sugars. White bread, white rice, pastries, sugary breakfast cereals, candy, soda and sweetened beverages, fruit juice, processed snack foods. These foods enter your bloodstream rapidly and cause glucose levels to surge in a way that stresses both your pancreas and your brain. Replacing them with lower glycemic alternatives, vegetables, legumes, whole grains, nuts, berries, produces a much gentler, much more stable blood sugar response. And one practical strategy that the research strongly supports: never eat carbohydrates alone. Always combine them with protein, fat, or fiber. A piece of fruit by itself spikes blood sugar faster than that same fruit eaten with a handful of almonds. A slice of bread eaten alone causes a bigger glucose surge than bread eaten as part of a balanced meal with protein and vegetables. The combination slows digestion, it blunts the spike, and it protects your brain from those repeated glucose surges that accumulate into cognitive damage over years. Strategy number 3, walk after every meal. This is one of the simplest and most powerful blood sugar management strategies that exists, and almost no one does it. A 10 to 15 minute walk taken within 30 minutes of finishing a meal has been shown to significantly reduce post-meal blood sugar spikes. Your muscles act as a glucose sink. When they're active, they absorb blood sugar from your bloodstream without requiring insulin to do it. You don't need a gym, you don't need equipment, you need 10 minutes and a pair of comfortable shoes. Walk around your neighborhood, walk around your living room, walk to the end of your driveway and back several times. Do this after every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you will produce a measurable improvement in your daily blood sugar profile. Strategy number 4, prioritize sleep. We keep returning to sleep in this series because the evidence for its importance is simply overwhelming across every system in the body, and the brain is no exception. During deep sleep, the brain performs a process called glymphatic clearance, essentially a cleaning cycle where cerebrospinal fluid flushes waste products, including beta amyloid proteins, out of the brain tissue. Poor sleep means incomplete glymphatic clearance, which means beta amyloid accumulates faster. And chronically poor sleep independently worsens insulin resistance in both the body and the brain. 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep is not optional for brain health. It is as important as any dietary change on this list. Strategy number 5, reduce chronic stress. Chronic stress elevates cortisol. Elevated cortisol raises blood sugar directly, through a hormonal mechanism that instructs the liver to release stored glucose into the bloodstream. This means that a chronically stressed person has chronically higher blood sugar, even if their diet is perfect, even if they are exercising daily. Stress management is blood sugar management. Whatever works for you, walking in nature, prayer, meditation, spending time with people you love, creative hobbies, gentle yoga, prioritize it not as a luxury, but as a medical intervention for your blood sugar and your brain. Strategy number 6, talk to your doctor about medication if lifestyle changes are not enough. If your HbA1c is in the pre-diabetic or diabetic range, and lifestyle changes alone have not brought it into the healthy range, medication may be appropriate. Metformin, one of the most widely prescribed and well-studied diabetes medications in the world, has shown some evidence in research of having neuroprotective effects. The newer class of diabetes medications, called GLP-1 receptor agonists, which include drugs like semaglutide, are currently being studied in large clinical trials, specifically for their potential to slow the progression of Alzheimer's disease. The science connecting diabetes treatment to brain protection is actively evolving and genuinely exciting. But you cannot benefit from any of it if you do not know your numbers and if you have not had an honest, proactive conversation with your physician about where you stand. Let me bring this home. Your brain is not supposed to decline the way many seniors experience it declining. Forgetfulness is not an inevitable consequence of getting older. Cognitive fog is not just aging. Worsening memory is not something you simply have to accept. In many cases, in a genuinely significant percentage of cases, it is a metabolic problem. It is a blood sugar problem. And blood sugar problems are among the most treatable, most modifiable conditions in all of medicine. You have real power here. The food you choose at your next meal, the walk you take tonight after dinner, the blood test you request from your doctor this week, the sleep you prioritize starting tonight. These are not small decisions. These are decisions that may determine whether your mind stays sharp, clear, and fully yours, or whether the fog slowly thickens. I'm Dr. Shan Clark. Share this video with someone you love who needs to hear it. Subscribe so you don't miss our next video where we will be covering the 5 lab numbers every senior absolutely must know and what to do if even one of them is wrong. Leave a comment below telling me, did you know that high blood sugar could affect your brain this way? Take care of your mind. It is everything.